afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're at. Let's see. I don't see myself on the screen. Good morning. Good afternoon to you all. Welcome back to both of my channels, Trial Watch with Demetra and Demetra Lit All Day. Today is a joint broadcast between the two channels as I do this content freedom or keep them season 2 episode 2, and it's going to be very interesting. Thank you guys for joining me. Go ahead and hit the like. I'm trying to really quickly. I thought I had everything together, and alas, I failed. Let me pull up the actual parole hearing. Duh. Now today is going to be very interesting. It's a case, as you can see from the title, city official gone bad. As usual, we're looking at the Louisiana State Board of Pardons and Parole. And the job of the Lit Lane jury box over on Trial Watch with Demetra and Lit Lane on Demetra Lit All Day channel is to make the choice. Should we free them or should we keep them? Based on what they're saying, what do we think? Do we think the Louisiana Parole Board got it right? One moment. Now, I've been sitting here getting all this stuff together, but that's okay. Things happen. No biggie. So let me, it's from January 13th. I don't see the screen, you guys. I'm trying to pull this up. I got everything, the pictures, the story, the backstory. I forgot to pull up the doggone parole hearing. Oh, and I don't know. And Renee came in and said that I switched up this. I told y'all last night I was doing free. I'm going to keep them today. 9/10/2024, September 2024. Okay. Let me pull this up. 2024. September. Okay, here we go. Oh, Lord. Boy, my best efforts. I pulled up everything but the right thing. My. Okay. Let's see. It's October, September. Boom, here you go. And what our market's at? It's at one moment. Okay, here we go. Right here. All right, finally. Oh my gosh. Boom. Good morning. Officially, I am here. I am Demetra Lit All Day, or in my formal capacity, self-proclaimed Judge D. Lit. It is Tuesday, March the 5th, 4th, 2025, and we are back with another Freedom or Keep 'em episode, and this will prove to be interesting. Yeah, the Lit Lane jury box go over the Trial Watch with Demetra. I'm doing this broadcast simultaneously so folks can know what we do over on that channel. Hey, Winter. Hey, Renee. Hey, B.A. Sage. Hey, Lady Steph. Hey, Tanya McNeil. Hey, Diamond Forever. Everybody, good to see y'all on today. Now, on this episode of Free, I'm going to keep them. You guys, tell me, what does a city official, elected official, a young lady who's still suffering from the consequences of his actions years later, and his father, pastor, no less. How was all three of these people somehow tied together? They was all tied together at the hands of Richard Seaton Jr., okay? And we're going to take a look at his parole board hearing where he's asking to be released, okay? So we're going to listen to the parole hearing, and then After we hear what he has to say, we're going to see what really happened and the consequences that came down the pipeline from that. Okay, it's very, very, it's something else. Okay, hey, Kurt Vixen. So let's just, I'd already took a long time getting it started, so let's just jump into this content. Boom. Phone on do not disturb. Free him or keep him? Has he been rehabilitated? Do we trust him back out in the community? Should he serve all his time? These are the questions.
Freeman is on my right, and Carolyn Stapleton is on my left, and of course, you know Steve Prater. I'm the chairman today. And so we'll go in, and the way we're going to conduct this hearing is that we're going to allow you, Rick, to tell us just exactly why we should consider a parole for you. Then we will hear from the warden as far as what kind of an inmate that you have been. We will then go into two people that wish to speak, and they are both your sons that wish to speak on your behalf. And then we will move into opposition, and we will have Kimberly Schoolcraft, the victim's mother, and Leona Fitzgerald, who is with the Caddo DA's office. They will speak in opposition. Then we will take care of the questioning, and this is Carolyn Stapleton's. She'll be the primary questioner on this, and then we will vote. You'll immediately know what the decision is today. So having said all that, we'll move directly to you, Mr. Seaton, and tell us exactly why we should consider paroling you today.
Thank you, sir. I'm a minimum custody inmate, zero write-ups, never had a write-up in prison. I've served 85% of my sentence. I've taken every class that I could take. I've taught several classes here to help others. I have an approved residence plan. I have an interstate compact that's been approved to another state. I still have a few years left to be productive, and I look forward to being a productive member of society. I've been blessed with family and friends that have supported me in these past 13, 14 years, and I look forward to returning the favor to them and helping to support them in their time. I've grown a lot in the last 13, 14 years. I'm a more patient person. I think I'm a better man than I was. I've helped a lot of people and taught a lot, and I look forward to continuing that growth. And I ask you for your vote yes.
Wow. Does anybody notice anything off the bat? Does anybody notice anything about his opening? Just wondering, just curious. Let's continue.
Okay, well, we appreciate that statement from you, and we will immediately.
Well, let me tell y'all, he didn't mention anything about his victim. He didn't mention anything about his crime. He didn't mention anything about what he has, how the crime has changed them, how the crime may have impacted the victim and their family, how his crime could have affected or probably did affect his community as an elected official and the trust of his office and all type of stuff. He didn't mention nothing as far as his crime, the victim impact, any of that. Nothing. And not a mumbling word.
Go to, we heard, okay, Warden, would you tell us what kind of an inmate that Mr. Seaton has been?
Yes, sir. As he said, he's been in here since 2014. He's been in general population ever since. He was made trustee in 2021, and he's worked in several different jobs. He's currently working in the education department as an academic tutor, and he's our editor for our inmate magazine that was just started back in 2023. He's completed multiple programs. He's completed the sex offender program and the reentry program. As he said, his interstate compact has been approved, and he does have an employment plan. He's doing well here. He hasn't had any issues here since he's been here at David Wade disciplinary. And like I said, he's worked in multiple capacities, so we don't have any issues.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. And now I believe we will go to those speaking in favor. First.
Oh, hell no. So I know, one thing that I don't know what's going to happen, the end result, if they're going to free him or not. But what I do know is when they first started off this hearing, that the board member, he was like, hey, Rick, let's not forget that this was Rick Seaton Jr. Lady Steph say, I would not mention my victims either. That is taking the focus off of me today and putting it back on my crime. That's one way to look at it, Lady Steph. Absolutely. But what happens is a lot of time with these parole boards and what have you, one of the standards that they really look for is victim acknowledgement, victim impact, remorse, apology, acknowledgement of the crime that you did. So I get what you're saying, but that's normally very important to these boards, right? Now, the parolee that's up for parole right now, he was an elected Louisiana official. In 2012, he got found guilty. In 2012, he SA'd a high school senior in the mayor's office. Okay. Please double tap the like, go to Stepper, GQ to Stepper. Thank you. So he was an elected official. The girl was out partying in New Orleans with her boyfriend, young girl, a high school senior at the time. The boyfriend got arrested for public. The girl's boyfriend got arrested for public disorder, right? Disorderly conduct. This guy, Richard Seaton Jr., he saw the boyfriend get arrested. And somehow, some way, he mentioned to somebody else, she sure is cute, I like her, whatever. And he pretty much detoured the girl from getting on the bus to go back to her hotel where her family was at. He told her, he lured her pretty much and told her, hey, come with me. I'm going to help you get your boyfriend. We're going to get him bonded out and all that kind of stuff. In the process of doing that, he takes the girl into City Hall, into the mayor's office, and proceeds to sexually assault her. A teenager. Hey, Candy Cane. Let me show y'all. Uh-oh, wrong one. Okay, this is some of the proof. They had DNA on the couch. This is in the mayor's office. This is his victim. Okay. And so he also had the sexual assault charges, and he also had like 3 charges for abuse of his office, you know. So it's a lot that he's leaving out. And it's real strange to me. But let me hush.
This will be Luke Seaton, who is the son. Luke, are you with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, sir. And please limit your remarks to,
he wasn't even the mayor.
Somewhere 3 to 5 minutes. You have 10 minutes total for people in favor of, so that's how long you'll have.
Yes, sir. Good morning, members of the Pro Board. I'm Rick's oldest son, and I'm here today to express my hope to support him in my home here in Michigan, should he be granted parole. Over the past several years, my dad and I have spoken on the phone almost every night, often multiple calls a night. And during these conversations, we work on the New York Times crossword puzzles together, like Wordle and the crossword, and talk about life. But today I wanted to highlight one form of growth that you can't see in the courses that he's taken and certificates he's completed in his incarceration. Since his incarceration, my dad has read more books than many of us might have the chance to read in a lifetime. And in one particular phone call, he was telling me about all the romance novels that he's read and how they all have the same story and how miscommunications are the only thing that can create conflict and move the plot along. And he came to the realization, he told me, I think I've realized that the key to relationships is good communication. And for someone in their 50s to come to that conclusion shows openness and humility and potential for growth.
Maybe he should have known how to communicate the understanding of no. Maybe he needed to understand no means no. And how weird it is that a sex offender is in there reading romance novels and that's what he want to focus on and talk about. That is so freaking strange. And then for him to say that it takes conflict to move the story along. That's all very weird. Hey, the cynical one. Exactly, Kurt Vixen. So we all picked up on that. Romance novels are not the books he should be reading since he SA'd a person. Okay. Lady Steph say, considering what he is in there for, the last thing I will mention would be romance. Okay. Exactly. All weird and inappropriate.
I believe that my dad does have a lot more growing to do, and parole would be the best opportunity for that. He has not yet had the opportunity to prove how some of his values and expectations has changed over the past several years. I plan to support him financially, mentally, emotionally as he reintegrates into society and to connect him with potential employers. I own a house here in Michigan with a dedicated bedroom for him. I've already met with his assigned parole agent through his approved interstate compact, and we have reentry resources in the city of Lansing for therapy, support groups, and employment. And I want to thank you for your time and for considering my dad's case. I truly believe he has made the most of his time while he has been in prison, and that if granted parole, he will become the best version of himself.
Okay, Luke, thank you, sir, very much.
I can't wait till the parole
we'll
board
hear
asks
from
him
Isaac
questions.
now.
Alrighty, I just wanted to thank y'all for hearing me today.
Oh, that's his other son?
I just wanted to say that I love my dad. I'm ready for him to be released.
We're watching the parole board, a parole board hearing for the state of Louisiana. The guy there on the top right corner, in front of the Louisiana state seal, he's asking for parole after serving 13 years on a assault case there in Louisiana. Okay, so he's going in front of the board. The purpose of my live is we decide as a group, we look at it, what they're saying, we look at the crime, and we try to see whether we should free them or keep them, and see what the parole board says. See if they got it right. Double tap the screen for me. Thank you.
And that I'm willing to help and support him in any way that I can. And over the past years, over the multiple phone calls we've had, I've noticed his growth and his sense of purpose. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Isaac, for that. And Rick, you're lucky to have two sons like that. And
you see how personal that guy
applaud you boys
is?
for the support that you've given your dad.
I don't like this.
Okay, we'll move into opposition now. We have two people. The first will be Kimberly Schoolcraft, who is the victim in this case. Mother, Kimberly, go ahead, please.
Hi, can you understand me? Because my phone sometimes garbles up the communication.
Well, we're understanding you. The picture is not exactly going with your voice, but as long as we can hear you, that will be fine.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Pause. So Zach says Price should be his boss if he wants to get out early. But guess what? When they do castrate, it's been proven sometimes that even after castration, it doesn't stop the urges for them to offend and to offend. Good to see you, Terica. Lady Steph says also, the son said he is holding a bedroom for him in the state of Michigan. What if he is on parole and needs to go to his parole officer in person? Right. But a lot of time they put in the I think he already said it, Richards, he already said he put in the paperwork for a transfer. Because he can't even go out of state unless he gets approved. They have to get approved. Otherwise, it's called like jumping parole.
I'm the victim's mother, Caitlin Winstel,
Come on.
and she's no longer with us. I
Nope.
don't know if you're aware of that, but she died.
The victim died 2 years after, in 2014. She died in a this is a car accident she was in, a fatal car accident that she was in 2 years after all of this happened. Okay, and she was only like what, 18 when the rape happened. And so this is her mom.
Died in 2014 of a fatal car accident. When this situation happened, well, first of all, let me just say, in Rick Seaton's opening remarks, I did not once hear him say that he was sorry for his crime. I did not hear him talk about the impact to my daughter, to our family.
He didn't.
To me, that shows no remorse. Everything that I've read online that he's written in his free Rick Seaton newsletters talks about he's still in denial. He is questioning everything, and he was found guilty. So it doesn't matter what he believes in his mind. I don't think he still has shown any remorse. He totally abused his power. He took my daughter into the mayor's office, and in his office he has a little box of sex toys. So my daughter wasn't the first one that he's abused, and he wasn't found guilty for any. Nobody's come, to my knowledge. I don't know what's been going on because I don't even live on that side of the country, but it floors me, and it really hurts my heart that in his opening remarks, all he's done is talking about himself.
Right.
He sounds like a narcissist. Yes, he's done all these programs in prison to make himself look good.
Exactly.
And has been leading and training. All of those things I'd like to see him humble himself and clean the toilets and be a janitor and not say how good he is. He has 2 sons that are still alive that he can build a life with. I don't have a daughter that can grow out of this and learn to forgive him. I'm a Christian.
Thank you, Candy.
I have the peace now of her death, only knowing that she came to know the Lord a few weeks before she died in her car accident.
Thank God for that.
And so that's the only way I can be at peace with her death. It still hurt, the hurt that she had for those 2 years that she was on this earth. In a lot of pain. Nothing can describe what a young girl goes through when she was only 18, a few weeks when he committed this act.
She was in the high school, a senior.
I know the Bible says that in Matthew 6 that we have to forgive others of their trespasses so that God will forgive us. And I think that my daughter by now would have forgiven him because she was a Christian. And I can't sit in judgment. The Bible also says how we can't sit in judgment of others. But Rick Seaton was judged for this crime. And the judge could have given him 45 years, but didn't. Allowed him to serve congruently his abuse of power. And I think he should serve that time. That's a blink of an eye in a lifetime on this earth. And if he's a Christian, he should get his life straight, learn how to be remorseful, humble himself, admit to his crime. And I have never once seen him admit to a crime. So I'm definitely opposed. I'm not bitter in my heart. I know my words sound that way, but I guess I'm just upset that he can't bring himself to humility. And if he can't, then he should not be released. He has not learned anything while he's in jail other than how to continue to gain more power so that when he's released, he can also control other people. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is my first time watching this, right? I just looked, well, anywho, I hadn't watched it. So I was absolutely shocked when he didn't mention anything about remorse, anything to apology. Trish, I sent you an email back and I said, send me the documents to sign. I didn't see the documents to sign. And then I clicked everything that was highlighted on the email. You know, I'm not slow. Sorry, y'all. Oh, you sent me. I don't see the part where you sign. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. I apologize. I see all this stuff and I don't have any attachments. Okay, so I know, but it was. I didn't see no attachments. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, yeah, and I'll email you right after the show to let you know I got them, and then I send them, and then I'll email you right after my show if I have not got them yet. Okay, but I sent you an email that day saying that. Okay, all right. Sorry, y'all. So that's another business matter right here. But anywho, I hadn't seen this already. So it absolutely stunned me that he had the audacity to come on here and not mention a word about the victim. Okay, let's say, and it shows that that almost like not admitting to your crime. Just an interesting side note, this man, after he was convicted, sued his victim for slander. He sued his victim, this high school senior, who he got convicted of SN, mind you, forcibly. This young girl. And he sued her for slander. I think this mom is so intuitive. The fact that what really, how she saw that, okay, don't take a rocket science. But at the end, when she pointed out the fact that he in the prison doing jobs that puts him in a position of leadership and power. For her to pick up on that was absolutely so astute of her. That he want to still be in power. He still want to abuse his power. He still want to be arrogant. Very good. I think the mom was exactly right. Exactly right.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Hey, thank you, and I'm very sorry in the loss of your daughter.
He's not
Thank
taking
you,
account,
sir.
not at all.
Okay.
She keep talking. Reading love novels to make his game turn when he gets out.
Okay. Okay, Leon Fitzgerald is the next.
Baby, that lady got some big
Yes, ma'am. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm sorry. I thought I was going last.
Well, I think you are last.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. All right. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Good morning. I'm Leanne Fitzgerald. I'm the director of the Victim Assistance Program for the Caddo DA's office.
Please double tap the screen.
And I actually worked on this case when it first came to our office and throughout the trial process. So, hi, Ms. Schoolcraft. It's been a long time, but I'm glad you're on today. Well,
now she's speaking in opposition.
I did expect to hear more from Mr. Seaton, but as you all know, this happened or started at our Independence Bowl, which y'all are probably familiar with. It's a big event in Shreveport around here and something that we're proud of locally. It shows our city on the national level in a positive way, but that was not the case after the events in 2011, because the takeaway that year, the news headline was top city official arrested for raping teen in mayor's office. And so, aside from the trauma that was caused to Caitlin, and his own family, he pretty much disgraced our entire city and put a black eye on a tradition that our city plans and looks forward to year round. I'm not surprised one bit that he's been a model prisoner. In fact, I would have been surprised by anything different. Many sex offenders are model prisoners. They know what they're doing. They're cunning and manipulative, and that's what they do. That's how they charm their victims and how they gain access to victims. So, of course, he conforms when he has to look good. Like Ms. Schoolcraft, I was very disappointed that Caitlin was never mentioned in his remarks. No matter what his interpretation is of what happened, she was traumatized and she's deceased now. So that really, disappoints me that he couldn't throw out one obligatory comment about Caitlin in his remarks.
Right.
I've also read his written statement that he submitted to the board. I've read lots of letters from his supporters that were very disheartening. I mean, you want to talk about Monday morning quarterbacking. I heard everybody blamed, from the judge to the victim to everything, all the things that Caitlin did wrong. I even read some derogatory comments about Mr. Seaton's ex-wife. I don't know what in the world she has to do with any of this, other than, you could consider her a victim in this too. And it disturbs me if the board read all these things. I trust that you can see through these letters, but it was just very disappointing to read how people made all this judgment about Caitlin and her past, and they don't even know her. One man put together a
pause before we even go any further. What could it possibly be in a 18-year-old who's still in high school? What type of excuse can any reasonable person make for a grown ass man, married man, to have her anywhere alone? Anywhere. What type of reasoning goes with that? What type of okay in that? I think somebody who sit there and victim shames the minor, she just turned 18. She's still in high school. She's still a kid. How can you victim shame and how can you make excuses unless you're also sick in the head? How can you make excuses for anything that he did? Why would he have, let's just say, because he married? Why his married ass got that young girl, that young woman in the office? What about the fact that why he having sex in city buildings? It's a lot wrong. It's so weird when they make excuses for these weirdos.
An outline, I suppose you could say, of referring to this event as the perfect storm and referring to Caitlin as a
Okay, I got
seductive
it, Trish.
woman, which made me laugh because she
That she
was
had
a
a checkered
drunk
past. Wait a minute.
high school senior.
That she had a checkered past and she asked for it. I'm hearing that from what she's saying right now, that maybe she was not a model citizen according to them. I don't know. Nevertheless, he was wrong. But how can you be any type of citizen when you're still even right? Exactly. A checkered past, you know, exactly. How can I even bring that up for somebody who just life is just starting? At 18 years old, you don't have a checkered past. You have mistakes. You have learning lessons. You know? Exactly, Lady Steph. Okay, Trish.
Senior who
I get
had
on top
been
of it today.
18 years old for 18 days.
Right,
I
just
don't
turned
think she was
18.
really capable or intending to seduce anyone.
Damn,
She
I
was
just
trying
said
to
all
get her
that.
boyfriend out of jail. One supporter of Mr. Seaton's referred to a video that apparently none of the rest of us have seen that he says shows Caitlin dragging Mr. Seaton to the scene of the sex act. Well, Caitlin was about 5 feet tall and probably weighed 110 or 15 pounds and was intoxicated. And Mr. Seaton is about 6'5". So I don't think she was dragging him
And
anywhere.
how would she drag him through his
Everything
city
that I
hall
read
to
in
the mayor's office?
pre-roll, other than Caitlin's family, all makes this out to be like
It's sick.
Mr. Seaton was the victim in this ordeal. And Mr. Seaton hasn't said or done anything to convince this office otherwise. So, to mention Caitlin's supporters, other than her mom, who's already spoken, Caitlin, I wish I could show y'all a picture. She was a beautiful young girl. She was a niece, a daughter, a granddaughter, a goddaughter. She could have been anybody's daughter. She was a Girl Scout growing up. Here she is. And that's just the way that I remember her. She was attending college at the time of her death. And she didn't get anything out of any of this. Nothing good. She got berated. She got smattered in our newspapers. She got subjected to the humiliation and discomfort of a sexual assault exam.
Right.
She was forced to come back to Shreveport, a place she probably would have just as soon forgotten, to go through a trial for what? And, what Caitlin's dad, Ron, wrote is heartbreaking. He just talks about the heartbreak that the family still suffers and how re-traumatizing it is for him to have to go through this parole process, because he does his best to put the entire ordeal behind him and not even think about Mr. Seaton. Caitlin did grow up in a somewhat tumultuous environment, according to some of the family members. There was some conflict between her and her parents, but she wasn't a throwaway. She was a young girl
Exactly.
with her entire life ahead of her. So I'm just gonna, I'm gonna close. In I don't know if the board members read this, but in Mr. Seaton's own words, "That's nice. I could do something with that."
That's what he told
Mr.
us
Seaton
about it.
commented to a deputy at the Independence Bowl when a flashlight was shown on Caitlin during the altercation with her boyfriend and him being taken away by the police. And that's exactly what he did.
Right. He was an actual predator, right? He saw her. He knew he was going to go after her. He bragged about it, and then he commenced to taking her apart from the group she was with. She was supposed to get on the tour bus and go back to the hotel with her mama, but he stepped in saying, "I can help you get your boyfriend out. Let me go help you get him bonded out." But he already had nefarious intentions. That's like predator, right?
We have heard nothing about. This was a gross abuse of office, whether it was consensual or not consensual. This man was one of our highest city officials. He had a job to do at the Independence Bowl. But when he said he was going to do something with that, he meant it. And that was Caitlin Winstel, the barely 18-year-old intoxicated human being from another state who was here, unfamiliar with her surroundings, no one that she knew around. And that's what he did. He swooped her up like a hawk. I know we hear the word predator in our business a lot, but it's never been more fitting than in this instance. He went onto the bus. The 43-year-old family man went onto the bus. He chose his prey. He decided that he was going to get some of that one way or another when everyone else was telling Caitlin to stay on the bus, to go back to the hotel, and then to try to get her boyfriend out of jail. The bus driver was telling her that. Other officers on the scene were telling her that. But Mr. Seaton very deliberately got on the bus. He let her think he was a police officer. And like a child molester lures children with, please help me find my puppy, he lured her with, I can help you get your boyfriend out of jail. So what did Caitlin do? She got off the bus. She went with Mr. Seaton. He took her on a golf cart to his city vehicle. He took her to the city jail, and she tried to get away from him then. She told people inside the city jail, she asked for a ride. She offered to pay the bondsman money to give her a ride to her hotel. She asked, how do you report the police to the police? And she even told somebody, I think that man is going to rape me. Did she still go with Mr. Seaton? Yes, she did, because she was an 18-year and 18-day-old intoxicated teenager whose boyfriend was in jail. So they went to the to the government plaza, and that's where Mr. Seaton decided that he was going, and he was going to take her up to his office. He could have let her use two of the cell phones that he had. He could have taken her to numerous ATMs in the city of Shreveport, but he had to get her up to Government Plaza where they would be in a deserted area alone. And he could show her the view of the city, and he could woo her to the mayor's couch with, have you ever seen a real mayor's office? And when that didn't go as planned, because Caitlin wasn't interested and she resisted him, just like she did in the car at the city jail, and like she did at the jail, she did the same thing again at Government Plaza. But he couldn't handle that. That couldn't be the case because he had handpicked her, and he couldn't not get his way with that he had already determined he was going to do something with.
Ms. Carol,
yes.
we kind of wrap it up, please, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We've got all these reports, and so it's important to hear what you have to say.
Okay. So I just wanted to point out that she was left with a bleeding navel and lacerations to her vaginal area, which is not that common in sexual assault.
Belly button bleed?
And the same nurse testified that they were not consistent with normal consensual sex. So that's what happened.
A dog want to be a dog. Women need
that's
to
what
wake
he
up.
meant to do.
They ain't interested in their minds.
Conviction
It's what's
and his
between
sentence
their
have
legs.
been upheld. There's a lot of stuff in his paperwork about how he's still appealing, and he even alleges that something's pending at the Louisiana Supreme Court. That is, everything in his case has been upheld by the higher courts. So I would just like for the board to take all of that in mind,
emphasize
and
the
lack of remorse, as Ms. Schoolcraft mentioned, his lack of interest in his victim. And just please don't add more tragedy to tragedy by remorting Mr. Seaton's behavior. I do appreciate the board's time and the opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you for all the work you put on the case and for all the work that you do up there. We appreciate you very much.
I don't like this little man here. He too
Okay, that's all
informal
the in
with this
favor
lady.
and all the opposition and all. It's time to turn it over to Ms. Stapleton because she's the primary.
Let's hear these
So
questions.
what questions do you have?
Well, I'm reading the report, sir, that it says that you were highly intoxicated. And different people said that they smelled a lot of alcohol on your breath the night
Is
that
she
all that
giving him an
happened. Is that
excuse?
true?
No, ma'am, I don't remember reading anything about that. And I was not intoxicated. I've been working all day.
Okay, so you weren't intoxicated on the
Was
bus.
she looking
or
for an
anything.
excuse for him?
No, ma'am.
What about the victim?
I wasn't aware.
Okay, Ms. Fitzgerald was talking about that she felt like the victim was intoxicated. Well, in the report that I'm reading here, it says the blood
Wow.
alcohol level on you was 0.10 to
Wow.
0.116. And other people had smelled the alcohol on your breath.
What does that
And then
mean?
if the victim was highly had alcohol in her and highly intoxicated, well, then they can't give consent. And so,
Okay.
I mean, I know in cases
Okay.
that I've
But you
worked, if
scared
the
me,
victim
lady.
is intoxicated and there is intercourse, it becomes rape that they get charged with. So I don't know what happened with
Oh
that.
my God, I didn't
I
know
do
where
know
this
that the
woman was
victim
going.
called her mom, and the mom received text messages from her daughter to the point that she ended up filing a missing persons report looking for her daughter because her daughter was upset. So I guess you're aware of that in all the police reports, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I listened to Leon talk about the medical examination, and I read that in the reports, and this is going over all of that. I really don't have any more questions because I
Why don't you have
think
any more
pretty much
questions? Oh my
Leon
God.
covered it. And your children,
Oh my God. It's like they trying to pay him too much respect as a former elected official. Who gives a damn? He just like every other sex offender that's in there. He shouldn't be talked to no different. He shouldn't be handled any different. We have seen on Freedom and Keeper, we have seen them really push these guys for answers and for different rebuttals, and they're not doing it. That's why I don't like this new parole board.
are wonderful boys,
I'm sorry, I'm
obviously.
having a whole
And then
fit.
all the courses you take, I mean, all of that has been acknowledged and your interstate compact. So I
They
really
have
don't have
real
any more
conversations. They are all
questions to
friends.
ask.
Right now, they really showing
Okay.
him. They
I
do.
just got, more of a state question, being in public service, we've all been in public service.
Okay, Lady Steph.
I mean, we're all victims because now we can't get people to trust us. It's hard enough to get the general public to trust us, yet you totally broke that trust with this girl. I mean, was she making moves on you? Why did you take her there? I mean, there was no reason to take her there.
What was your question, Mr. Freeman?
Why would you take her to the mayor's office? What was your intent?
Well, first I took her to city jail because she had asked me for a ride and on the bus that they referred to earlier in that video. She asked me for a ride and to the city jail, and nobody else would take her to the city jail. And so that's the first place we went, and I let her go inside by herself, and she talked with officers in there. And
Why wouldn't you go in there and help her if she's from another city and you're a public servant? Why didn't you go in the police station? with her?
she asked to go in by herself,
Okay.
and I wait, and she begged, she wanted me to wait for her, so I mean I waited in the car.
Let me let it continue. Lady Steph told me to calm down.
I'm usually, Rick, when somebody comes before us, the first thing they talk about it, and quite often they're
First name basis.
very emotional about it, about the harm that they have caused the victim.
Yes.
I've not heard anything about the victim except from the victim's mom and the DA's representative.
He didn't even want to talk about why he took
Person
her
in the
to
DA's office. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Exactly, Winter. Exactly.
I'm
baby.
sorry for her loss, Ms. Barnes, or Ms. Schoolcraft's loss. I mean, I wish that her daughter was still here. That
That sounds like bullshit.
I'm sorry about that.
That sounds
What about the
so.
sexual assault?
What's the word?
Some of the statements that were made aren't backed up by what was in
Disingenuous.
the court case. You referred to the
He's not humble at all, and he's not
SANE
sorry.
examination. The nurse there said that it did not back up forced sex, that it only referred to recent sexual activity. So some of there were misstatements there. As far as alcohol, I've never seen anything about me being intoxicated. And I didn't have any awareness that she was intoxicated. You look at videos and she's walking just fine. And typing on her
Excuses, denial. Keep his ass in there. And the answer in these questions, thank you for joining us. Yes, she died. The victim died 2 years later in a separate event. She died in a fatal car accident 2 years later. So she didn't die as a result of his forcible rape. Okay, but she did die 2 years later in a tragic fatal car accident. Let's continue.
telephone.
Make sure y'all double
Another
tap,
comment
consider
there was
subscribing.
about the telephone, and she had 2 cell phones on her the entire time and a pocket knife, and testified that she used the restroom behind a deadbolt lock. And it was never brought up that she claimed rape before we had sex. And I just
He's still victim blaming.
One thing I noticed that you kind of mischaracterized the sexual assault exam from what I read.
Wow.
I read there was vaginal tearing as normal or as usual in a sexual assault. Now, did I misread something? That sounds pretty. Oh, no, I didn't just dream that up. That sounds contrary to what you just said.
in the follow-up that the attorney did from that, he said, does that mean that it's forced sex or sexual assault? And the same nurse examiner said no. So what does it indicate? It only indicates recent sexual activity. And she had said that she had sex twice that day.
Wow. So he trying to slut shame her.
Okay, well,
He's trying to drunk shame her.
Okay, the vaginal tearing is not, I'm not gonna get into the court or the scientific or anything, but that seemed a little strange. That I'm reading one thing about vaginal tearing.
He's the type of guy that needs to keep
back
talking.
to the other.
He needs to
Rick,
keep
all
talking.
you've said is you're sorry that the victim died. Even in recent cases where you have in national media about somebody that has done something or been accused of something, they at least apologize for the perception. I'm sorry that this young lady thought that this wasn't consensual. I'm sorry that she might have gotten that impression, but it was consent. I'm sorry that she went through this. I'm sorry that, but there's never been any mention
14 years up and down
about your remorse for that. Am I mistaken? I mean,
no.
Where is that?
I mean, like you said, I do apologize that there was any of that negative perception. I did make mistakes that night. There's no doubt about that. I committed adultery, and that was wrong. I had sex in the workplace, and that was wrong. I was out messing around, and I should have been at home with my family, and that was wrong.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, but I just cannot take this man. I cannot take him. I have to breathe.
So I definitely made mistakes that evening.
Thank you. Y'all ready to vote?
Yeah, I do have to correct one thing. I'm
It's
sorry. It
infuriating.
does say here, the bench trial of Richard Seaton was that KW's blood level
Baby,
was
you pray
likely
for me.
between
I can't pray for
0.10
him right now.
and point one
Lady Steph say,
six
no, he's not going
grams
nowhere.
percent at the time of the sexual assault between 8 and 9 p.m.
Yes, Kurt
And so
Vixen.
like there again, when we have a victim who is highly intoxicated, a lot of times that's
Right, winner.
dealt with as a rape because they can't give consent. So I did see that. So I did want to correct that though. And nothing else.
Okay. No questions? We're ready to vote. Ms.
He
Stapleton,
is
you
very-
lead the charge.
Okay. My vote today is to deny based upon
Oh, hold on.
the
I forgot to ask the little jury box. Free him or keep him? I think that goes without saying. But Indy, hold on to that thought. He's spiritually sick. Wait till I tell you guys. Remember, I showed y'all 3 different pictures at the beginning of this. And I said, what do these 3 people have in common? Okay. Hey, the Beef Sector Podcast. Keep him. Okay, my answer is to keep him. My vote is to keep his ass up in there. Her Vixen said keep him up in there. Winter over in witness protect and jury protection. She mad and cussing and fussing. She said keep him up in there. Okay. She might not come out. But do we free him or keep him? Andy say keep him up in there forever. Okay. Now, what's funny is Tanya say keep him. What's funny is he'll come back. It's real interesting, but whenever he come back in front of the parole board, because he'll get another opportunity, right? I wonder if his arrogance will allow for him to self-correct, take these, come back next time and say all the right things to get out. Right, he a real fan. He been up in there reading romance novels. And romance novels most of the time have young women, the maiden and things. Romance novels don't have a lot of middle age.
Abuse of power, just like you were charged, and
what I'm trying to say.
I believe it was forcible rape.
My vote is also to deny.
Good.
You've done great in prison, but bottom line, you got a big break with a 15-year sentence. It really disturbs me that you used a position of power to get what you wanted from this young lady, and due to victim opposition and law enforcement opposition, my vote is to deny.
Okay, my vote also, it doesn't matter because it needs to be unanimous, so your parole is denied. My vote, Rick, is to deny also. When you have another hearing, if you choose to get one, I think you got to somehow acknowledge what this little girl went through.
Oh, there you go.
This hearing's over, denied.
He said this hearing over, denied. Wait a minute. He say, but mind you, I bet you anything, Rick just knew he had a friend. Rick thought he had a friend, okay? Because it was making me mad that he was calling him Rick, like they knew each other, right? Now, next time when he comes back, he'll be on his knees begging and saying, please, baby, please. No, the next time he gonna come up in there saying, first, I want to say how sorry I am to the victim and her passing and her family. He gonna get it right. He gonna get it right, but will it be real? Now, what's very interesting, right, is the third part of this, what I kind of gave y'all a teaser to at the beginning. I said, what does the offender, the victim, and the offender's father have in common? This is the one that was going up for parole we just watched was Richard Seaton Jr. This is Senior, his father. Okay? Now check this out. The apple doesn't fall too far from the miserable tree. The father of convicted rapist and former Shreveport Assistant Chief Administrative Officer Rick Seaton has been arrested in Shreveport and charged with sex crimes against children in Missouri. Prosecutors there have filed 10 counts against 73-year-old Richard Seaton Sr., including statutory sodomy. According to court records, Seaton was a pastor at Leeton United Methodist Church in Leeton, Missouri, at the time of the crimes in the late 1990s. Shortly after he was questioned about the crime, Seaton moved to Louisiana. According to Seaton's own family website, he moved to Louisiana in 2009 to be closer to family. Okay. Wait a minute, let me read this. Court documents detail the charges against Seaton Sr. He is charged with 1 count of first-degree rape, 2 counts of sexual misconduct, and 7 counts of felony sodomy with children ranging in the age between 8 and 17. And one of the documents, it says Seaton is accused of pulling one of the children on top of his lap and then rubbing her back and forth by her hips. Now, mind you, this is the father. This is the daddy, okay, of this man we just saw who was asking for parole, who is also guilty of a sex crime, who also abused his position in leadership, trust, and authority. His daddy at 73 years old couldn't control himself. You're talking about genetic. How hard, if it makes sense, not making an excuse for him, but how can it, it just further drives home the point that he literally, honestly, probably don't think he did anything wrong. And that don't make it okay. He always been trifling. His daddy trifling. Sick fucks runs in the family, obviously. Hopefully it does not pass down to them 2 sons of him. Well, I hope not too, but their first son, I ain't gonna talk about that man's son, okay? Because he innocent till. But for the first son to come on here and say that his father had read hundreds of romance novels and that it taught him that communication is important in romance, in relationships, that's kind of a little weird, okay? Hopefully they all get some help. Hopefully his son, let me not speak on them. But anywho, I just thought that was absolutely amazing how the trickle-down effect and how all these things are related, right? I think when I read the article about the car accident that his victim was in 2 years later, I think that ended up being something about alcohol involved. And it's not victim shaming, but as a young girl, 18 years old, just 18, still in high school, a senior, to have to go through all this scrutiny, all this judgment, right? The news reports and everything. It had to be a long-standing traumatic event for her. And there's no telling how it truly impacted and changed the course of her life. A life that he get to still live. So, yeah. So this was another episode 2, season 2 of Free 'em or Keep 'em. His father probably did it to him. Oh, that's deep, Candy Cane. First son is a little special and next in line to the pervert throne. Not next in line. I didn't want to say it, but y'all see it? I didn't want to say it, but he looked like it. But anywho, thank y'all so much for joining me for Free 'em or Keep 'em. I hope y'all enjoyed this way that we did it, with a little bit more background information, a little bit more discussion, and case facts. If you enjoyed it this way that we did it, please let me know in the comments. Okay. Don't forget that each night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Thursday, we do Trial Watch with Demetra on the Trial Watch with Demetra channel. We just started a new trial last night that was the state of Georgia versus Miles Bryant. And already this trial is very interesting. This is a trial of the Georgia young police officer Miles Bryant, who was found guilty of kidnapping and unaliving his victim, Susana Morales. So if you like us here on Trial Watch with Demetra, you like watching the trials and having the discussions, meet me back here at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until we meet again, court is now adjourned. See y'all later. Exactly. She probably was never the same after the incident and all of the shirts from his trial. I'm sure people came after her. Oh, yes, they did. I'm not going to mess with that trial. Those romance novels didn't teach him nothing. There was no communication. No means no, bish. Period. See y'all this evening. Winter Hush. Don't forget to double tap the screen, hit the like, and don't forget to subscribe.
Thanks for watching. Do not forget click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Like, comment and share. See you next time.